Hello everybody, and welcome back to Password. We're in the woods, I think. I forget. Probably. The background says so anyway. So how well did I know Sal? What started as a happenstance meeting at work one day led to a fairly solid friendship. Maybe not as strong as the others, but he made me feel safe and calm. He reminded me of Roswell in a way, in that his insight were typically good advice. I just wish I was better at taking it. Even over the past few days, he had been going out of his way to help me feel better. But what does a but what has what have, but what have I done in return? I even stormed off on him yesterday, stormed off like a child. Stopping in my tracks, I thought about it. Was Sal looking at out for me the same way he did Orlando? Was he trying to hint at something when he said he had a crush on someone recently? But I liked Dean, right? The more I thought about it, the less certain of that I was. Oh, so this is the yelling out in the woods for the fun times, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this day is like the same for everyone, isn't it? Oh dear. Excuse me. Allergies, maybe a cold, I don't know. Happens every year though to me. I always assumed it was allergies. Cuz allergy medication does help. But I had to stop taking them because they also like tripled the amount of nosebleeds I have during winter, and that was like not great. Like no matter what kind of like allergy medication I took, it would help me. Like it would get rid of the congestion, it would like get rid of the sneezing, the stuffy nose, like everything. But then my nose was suddenly a faucet of red. And like and we kind of just went like I was just like you know what, family, you can take back these pills. You also use them. I can't. I don't want this anymore. Sal crossed my mind briefly, and I felt guilty where my mind was going, and I was thankful I didn't have to face him. Oh man, where's Best Boy? Oh yeah. Jack is fun. I like him as a character, like not as a like I would date him, but like he's a fun character. Kind of wish he showed up more, but I understand why. Oh man, this flashback is still like my favorite scene in the game. Because Tyson's in it, obviously. That and David's here, and David is a cute lad. Uh, in Haas's route, instead of meeting Haas in that room, you meet Tyson, right? Something like that. I I'd have to figure out if I wanted a new job or go back to being a receptionist at the gym. It wasn't a bad one, although I felt bad that I barely worked out as it was. Maybe I could convince Ty to let me use my own staff pass to maybe get fit. The people were nice. A lot of the regulars were people that worked along with my dad. Part of me wondered if they noticed me not being around so much. But it was also a place where I met Sal. As funny as that seemed in retrospect, just some guy that worked at a place talking to some other guy who was around because he was caught in the rain. It's romantic. Like Why does that shit happen to me?
Dave, are you really doing okay?
The question came as a surprise, and I frowned to the dream version of Sal, expecting him to elaborate.
I mean, really. Tyson told everyone about your father. Well,
Excuse me.
that you just sat there and relived things in your head.
Well, yeah, he had it covered, and, well...
But that was your story to tell. And a story that I think I would have preferred to hear from your mouth.
But why? I would have likely said whatever Tyson did. It's basically the same thing.
Are you sure about that? You know I understand what it's like.
Because of your sister? And I know that, but I don't know. Sal rumbled in the way I knew him to, shifting uncomfortably on the spot while keeping his eyes trained on me.
It was worth trying.
I'm just so confused. Sal, you make me feel things that I don't think I should. It's kind of like my friendship with Orlando, but also like my friendship with Dean, too.
That's not all, though. You think that I like you back a little bit, at least a little.
Maybe. It's the whole sleeping thing that gets me. It's nice, but...
Tell me these things, Dave. Tell me these things in person, and I'll listen.
But when? How?
I won't say the moment you wake up, but whenever you're ready.
But if I'm never ready, what if I just don't want to tell you at all?
Then you probably won't, then you probably wouldn't potentially have a crush on me. But that's okay. We can talk about it more when you're ready to talk about it.
Okay. Oh, we're on day 15. What the fuck? What? Okay. My eyes found Sal's, and he was watching me carefully, almost expectantly, but said nothing. Shooting him a quick smile, I kept my voice low while I figured out what I really wanted to say. I'll join, but I do have a couple things first, so just start without me.
Well, if you're gonna join, there's no point starting. Wait, no point starting if you're gonna rock up halfway through. It does make it harder for us, but could always watch something shorter until he arrives. You know, like anime. I'm a little concerned about how much you bring up anime, Haas. It's as if you don't have any other interests in any other genre.
Well, excuse you for assuming that I'm not crazy for literally the greatest thing on the planet. Okay, Haas. Okay.
Okay. Pretty sure you're the only one that feels that way. Maybe we should watch it just to make a point. Maybe we shouldn't watch it just to make a point. Or let Dave decide what we get to watch until he arrives.
God, I don't know what's worse. Would be worse given his tastes. My tastes in shows are fine, thanks. Just different. I found myself drawn to Sal again, who had seemed to stop watching me for the time being, but I still got the impression he was keeping tabs on me somehow. Maybe I was just being hopeful. I just want to be able to breathe through my nose, like... It was enough that I found myself growling in frustration, clutching my ears. I knew better than to pull, but I did anyway. I spun around in the moment I heard him speak, pulling my hands away from my ears.
Should I be questioning the growling? You don't normally growl.
I sometimes do when I'm upset.
You're upset? Right, that makes sense. Is it because you can't go outside? If you wanted to go outside for a bit, I could sit with you if you're scared.
Isn't that obvious? It's that obvious, huh?
You wanted to sit outside, or being scared. If it's the latter, then yes.
Right, I just I don't like the feeling that I'm not in complete control of myself anymore.
Understandable. I've had a rough time going through that with the prospect of sleepwalking.
Right, yeah, of course. I sighed out and wandered off, hands buried in my pockets.
Are you off to do those things that you needed to do before the movie?
Look, Sal, can we talk?
Yes. Why would I say no?
I mean, God, I don't know, Sal.
Did you want to do something while we talked?
Like what? I wouldn't say no to coloring or painting normally, but right now I'm still sort of just... I threw my hands up, gesturing loosely and hoping he got the message.
I don't really know what that means, but if you're anything like Dean, he likes doing something when he's talking stuff out. Be it bowling or angrily tending to his herb garden while he mumbles about his troubles.
Oh, that's adorable. What do you, what do you do when you want to talk?
I'm happy mostly, just listening and talking in a quiet space. I'd say the pool normally, but that's outside.
You really do like the pool, don't you?
For some reason, for the same reason you like coffee, Dave. It's one of the few things that helps us anchor memories, but those we wish were still around.
A few moments of silence passed between us before he sighed out again, placed a hand on my shoulder.
How about we make some snacks for the movie? Or maybe just get an early start on lunch.
We just finished breakfast, though.
It's only a suggestion. We could sit in silence while you talked about what you needed to if you really wanted.
No, that's worse somehow. Let's do the kitchen thing. We took the passage down back down to the kitchen, rather than cutting through the dining room, seeing that the only remnants of breakfast were the already washed dishes set off to finish drying off to the side.
What did you want to make?
Isn't that kind of limited based on what we're able to do? I figured we could do something together for a bit. It didn't need to be too involved.
Okay, well, we could make sandwiches. After my first lesson, Orlando's been reluctant to show me anything else.
You weren't that bad, though.
I was pretty bad, but I'll get better.
He was already wandering over to the pantry to find some bread, and after having flashbacks to what he was pulling out to make pancake batter, I was worried what he'd find instead.
You don't have to stare, Dave. I know what bread looks like.
Oh, okay, well, sure. But what are you pulling out? What are we putting on it?
You can decide. I'll just be an extra set of hands while you put stuff together.
I wandered over to the refrigerator and tried to find what I'd want. Cheese, maybe. If we had the time, I'd try making egg salad, but I was never really good at knowing when eggs had been boiled long enough.
How long have you wanted to have a chat with me?
Just since this morning, really. I had a dream about you last night that just made me curious about some things.
A good dream, I hope.
Oh, yeah. It was a good dream for sure, but it's still kind of awkward.
Did you see me naked?
Wait, what?
I don't know what else might be awkward for you. I'm only guessing.
No, it wasn't that. But just tell me something. The story Ty told you guys about my dad. What were your thoughts on that?
That you were so out of it that you probably didn't know exactly what the story he told us was.
That's kind of true.
But more than that, it felt a little invasive that he shared that story. It should have been coming from your mouth, given it was impacting you as hard as it was.
Ty was involved too. He was allowed.
Which, while was hurting, yes. And while you both did break down and cry, you were the one that ended up passing out in exhaustion.
Ty cried? Because of the story?
Because of you, likely. I didn't question it. I don't like getting involved in family things that, when they involve other people's families. Much like I don't like people pushing themselves onto matters involving mine.
What sort of thing would that cover?
Telling me how I should talk to my parents again, or, well, mostly that. I suppose a sibling dispute would also count.
Isn't being friends, sorta like being family? At least a little bit.
Sometimes. But even then, I share more things with certain people just because they're closer.
Like Dean and Orlando?
And you as well.
I nodded slowly and closed the refrigerator with the cheese in hand. Sal had to place a loaf of bread down along with a jar of peanut butter.
But I don't tell them anything. Much like I don't tell you everything. It's, more. I tell each person stuff I need to given what level of involvement I want to have.
I don't think I quite get it.
Well, when I need to break a break from Orlando being all excitable, or from Dean being himself, I'll go to the other one and vent.
Where do I fit in? Do you talk to Dean and Orlando about me?
Not really. You're more of a recent addition to that, and it's still something I'm figuring out. It's a good thing at the time.
Oh no, my thing. Oh no, don't roll away. Ah. Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay.
It's a good amount of it's a good thing at times, but I'm not sure about the rest of the times.
Because I'm not helpful?
I can't rightfully talk to you about issues that may arise that involve you. Dave, it's bad enough that Orlando and Dean also. It didn't seem like fitting people to talk about this. Perhaps Tyson, if we were closer.
That sounds pretty bad. Did I do something wrong?
No, it's not that. I suppose if you're asking, there's no point in hiding it, but since we're all started talking about it, since we started talking more, I've found something I can't quite explain.
I screw open a jar of peanut butter while I went to the cutting the cheese into slices. Although once the jar was opened, he stood there in a daze.
When Abby died, it was because of my own shortcomings. I was scared, and she drowned. Once things had become quiet, I was able to snap out of it so I could pull her out of the water, but I think I already know she was already gone.
He sat down, placing the jar aside and collapsing his hands together so they'd stay still, voice held low.
My parents were furious, and I remember that they weren't sad as much as angry. Maybe they were in shock, I don't know. But I was desperately trying to do what I saw on TV to get her to breathe again.
CPR?
Right. I didn't learn properly until later. Much later after this, because I didn't want to be caught out. I caught out not knowing just in case.
And then you got to the hospital, and she was declared dead. Then, someone wanted to buy her body?
For research, yes. Like I told you already. Abby didn't have a grave because of that. What's left of her is in a jar. I have back at home. Because my parents were just going to throw it away.
But she was their daughter!
I was still young, but I hid it until I was able to move out of home at the first opportunity.
I'm sorry, I don't think I quite understand, but it is what you found, Sal. Wait. I don't think I quite understand, but it is that... what it is that you've found, Sal.
Sorry. I suppose I'm rambling a little. I have a box of what's supposedly Abby's ashes to remember her by. I know what it's like to have someone I love dearly die and leave a void in my life. Just like you do. Dean still has his whole family, and he'd only really know at best on a conceptual level if his brother Freddy died. Orlando never had siblings, so he never had the same sort of attachment.
But I've lost my dad.
And because of that, as selfish as it sounds, makes me feel like I found someone that understands how I feel, or what it's like.
If only I'd known, I don't know, have raised it sooner, but...
Don't you dare apologize.
He thumped the counter suddenly, staring at me intently.
If you apologize for your sadness, all you're doing is denying something that's normal and expected. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to hurt. It's the normal sort of reaction to have to something like that.
I remember something Sal said once that didn't seem to line up, and without thinking about the consequences, the question left my mouth. What about the shots your parents got for you?
Those were an act of greed.
What do you mean? I thought getting vaccines and stuff were good.
I was scared, sad, and my parents now understand they could get money by submitting a body to science, offering me up next. So, medical trials, new vaccines and stuff. If they could get paid for cooperation, I was pushed forward eagerly.
But that's horrible.
Yes, well, thankfully I still, I have my health still. Maybe I have them to thank for not getting sick, or I'd rather not think about it that way. But I'd rather not think about it that way.
Well, I'm still happy you're alive.
That makes two of us.
No, I mean, beyond that, I think... I sighed, shaking my head. I didn't know how best to raise what I really wanted to, or if it was all right to say, so I continued making slices of cheese until I ran out of the block.
You have a crush on me, don't you?
Thankful that I had already finished up using the knife and sat it down, I flinched. What makes you say that?
You pick up cues from those you care for and hang around with. The fur on your ears, tugging from Tyson, they glazed over expressions you get when confused. You likely get from Dean. The way you fidget and look around when bashful from Orlando. If I wasn't already trying to figure out the same thing, I'd be more at a loss of what to call it.
You have a crush on me as well? Am I the mysterious person you recently developed a crush on?
Potentially. And I mean that more as a potential crush versus how correct you are. There are various other issues with it that Myers, just how genuine what I feel is, too.
Nothing that bad, surely.
Dean really likes you. As his best friend, it's not exactly right to be laying claim to someone he's presumably in the middle of courting.
But what if I don't like him the same way back?
Then you've been stringing him along thus far. I'd expect better of you.
I whined, and Sal shook his head as he scratched the back of his neck.
Sorry, it's just a bit difficult for me to justify destroying a friendship I cherish with Dean over the potentially seeing where we end up, especially so if I'm not even sure if what I'm feeling is romantic or not.
This is annoying. not being able to breathe. Like, what the fuck? Is there any way to tell? I know I'm not really in the best place to really be discussing options or alternatives like this. But what else am I meant to do?
You're right. There.
He took the slice of bread out of the bag and laid them out neatly before taking his hand away, as if presenting them for me to assemble into something sandwich-like.
I will say that there's ever anything to happen, I'll have to talk to Dean about it, as will you. It's only the fair thing to do.
What if we just didn't?
I just said I'm not risking Dean's friendship over this.
No, I mean, didn't. It didn't become anything more than just friends. You know, close maybe, but hell, I don't even know you were into me that way until a few minutes ago. We don't know if we're compatible.
I suppose that's fair. It's not as if I'm very experienced in this either. About as much as you, in fact.
Really? You've not done anything?
Consider it a lack of interest, maybe. However, there's another thing I'm likely going to need to consider. It's hard to deny the heart what it wants when it decides on something.
I always just thought that was part of growing up and being an adult, you know, having to make the hard calls and whatever. Groaning, I start to put cheese on the slices of bread as if on autopilot. Not that I ever really needed to make calls like that, at least not yet.
Someday you might have to, and that day might be coming sooner than you think. I don't need to tell you that this will be different than just picking what sort of pizza you want to order.
That's only the start of it. We still need to figure out everything else going on around here. Plus, why I almost
died. Which, yes, I agree. There's just so much going on, but you should be no stranger to rest days.
What makes you say that?
You work at a gym, didn't you? Remember, you needed to give yourself time to breathe, otherwise you'd hurt yourself.
He stood, sighing out a tired breath and flashing me a quick smile.
Which reminds me that we should really hurry up here, so we can get that movie.
Are you sure you still want to watch a movie with me?
Dave, no matter what future holds for us, as of right now, we're still friends. I feel like watching a movie together, even with others, will only reinforce that.
Okay, I'll end the part here, so I'll see you around, everyone.